the Biden administration and Vice President Harris to send a very strong statement to the Maduro regime that this time he cannot steal the elections. It's obvious that it has been outrageous what they have done. They have stolen an election that everything indicates that is 80 for the opposition, 20 for the chavismo. Not only that, we need the White House to send a very strong message through a statement saying that the United States is leading the effort in sending the message to Maduro that he cannot steal the elections. And number two, President Biden, we're asking him to please to get on the phone and start calling all the heads of state, Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, Canada, all the heads of state of the important countries in the hemisphere, all of them, I should say, and tell them that we have to unite in one voice to send the message to Maduro that he has to accept the elections that occurred last night. That's the second statement. Number three, for the United States, the repercussions that we could be seeing when it comes to migration and when it comes to economic opportunities are going to be dire. Why? Because 18% of the population that lives right now in Venezuela has said clearly, we're talking about around 2 million Venezuelans, they said that they will leave Venezuela if Maduro wins again. What does that mean to the United States and to our neighbors? Massive, massive flow of people that the neighboring countries cannot absorb and the United States cannot either. So for us, what happened in Venezuela is of dire consequences, and it has great effect on our land.
What we saw last night was not a surprise. Yesterday, right? We warned the administration, the Biden-Harris administration, that giving unilateral concessions to the Maduro regime would not work, and what they needed to do was pressure, multiply the pressure as opposed to give unilateral concessions. But, to no surprise, they did just the opposite. They were disastrous. This administration has been disastrous in this hemisphere, and when you're talking about the Maduro regime, they've been giving unilateral concession after concession. So now the question is, what are they going to do? Right. What they need to do is get on the side of the people, not of the regime. That means, number one, increase dramatically in every way, in every possible way, the sanctions against the regime, the sanctions against those who deal with the regime, the sanctions against those who profit from the regime, and countries who deal with that regime and also help that regime in any way economically or diplomatically. So do I have confidence that the Biden-Harris administration will get on the side of the people and not on the side of the anti-American communist regime? No, I don't, because I have a record that is dismal. But just know the following. We will pressure this regime. We will try to do everything we can to tighten sanctions and to pressure our allies and our friends to do the same. And we will do everything in our power to make sure that the Biden-Harris regime stops this attitude of appeasing the anti-American communist dictatorship, whether it's in Caracas, Managua, or Havana. We will do everything in our power, because what is very clear is that the policies enacted and followed and led by Harris and Biden have been disastrous. Yes, to the Venezuelan people, and also to the national security interests of the United States. With you all now, I call him Chief because he's a former fire chief, right, congressman, and former mayor, Congressman Jimenez.
Thank you. And I hate to say I told you so, or we told you so, but we told you so, that when the Biden-Harris administration lifted sanctions on Venezuela with the promise of free and democratic elections, they were being lied to. And everybody could see they were being lied to. And yesterday just proves our point. The Maduro regime stole the election. And so I feel like the United States under President Biden and Harris are Charlie Brown. And the rest of the world that are our enemies, they're Lucy. They promise, and then, yeah, I'll hold the football until you come kick it, and then they take it away. And so how many times are we going to be Charlie Brown and believe it? And we continue to believe it. This is what President Biden and the Biden-Harris administration have done over and over and over. And who's to suffer? People of Venezuela. Who's suffering? The people in our own hemisphere. And so, as As my colleague Maria Corina has said, this is not only about the suffering of the people in Nicaragua and Venezuela and Cuba that have been suffering under these regimes for decades, but it's also about the national security interests of the United States. We've seen it recently, and we're seeing it again. Russian warships sailing into Havana. We're seeing Chinese space bases being established in South America. We're seeing our adversaries establishing bases here in our hemisphere, which is a direct threat to the national security of the United States. This is no longer a laughing issue or a laughing matter. We need to take much more affirmative action against these regimes, especially Venezuela. Reestablish all the sanctions. Establish even harsher sanctions. Make sure that our so-called friends, which are friends of democracy, don't do any more business with Venezuela. Don't buy any of their oil. We need to stop refining Venezuelan oil here in the United States and put pressure on them. Put pressure on Cuba, which is really the head of the snake of the entire region. And so, again, I feel sorry for the Venezuelan people. They had hope. You know, we knew that there was no hope. We did, and we kept telling them, there's no hope. They're not going to do it. They're going to steal the election. They're going to laugh in your face. Today, we just learned that now Maria Corina is being indicted for conspiring with, get this, Northern Macedonia to steal this election. Does anybody here know where Northern Macedonia is? All right? Okay, so obviously they are technical giants, okay, that can steal an election in Venezuela. And so this is just another slap in the face of the Venezuelan people, but also America. You know, they're laughing at us for us, even the Biden-Harris administration, for even thinking that they would follow through with this. And